that this core here of Sword Art, Mabel, and Kasa have stuck together for such a long time. You know, they've had to change players around them, new top laner, now he's been there for a while, but it used to be Staker, then MMD, and now a new AD carry this split in Betty, the rookie of the split in the LMS as well. And they've now really found a lineup that clicks, because the AD carry they have now, better mechanics, better team fighter, and that's important for these guys.
And what does that mean for picks and bans? We'll talk more about the teams in-game. WE out the gates have taken Syndra away from Maple, one of the primary carries for Flash Wolves.
Yeah, I think there's a big mismatch in the mid lane here. GA is almost like a secondary support on Team WE, where it is more about Mystic and Condi to carry games, where Mabel, of course, is a superstar on the side of Flash Wolves. So banning out 2 picks against Mabel to try and give GA maybe a Karma first pick could be never mind, that's gone.
Yeah, well, for as much as Flash Wolves has found a more complete style to split, MMD, even in the weaker LMS region as far as the top heaviness of it, still averages -5 CSD at 15 minutes, and Betty has been a relatively defensive marksman player, so Maple still is the guy that they generally win through, so it makes sense to throw so many bans at him early.
I wonder if we're going to see Lee Sin first pick here for Condi. It is a big pick for him, it's a good pick for Kasa as well, and with Karma Lulu removed, who are 2 very standard first picks in the current meta, it opens up for a lot of different things, and especially junglers.
Well, I'm going to find out in just a second.
Now I'm really looking at Lee Sin.
Graves is off the table, so if it's not Lee Sin, what are some of the other options? It was Ashe for G2 a moment ago. We talked about the value there, and Mystic also has played that a whole lot.
Yeah, and some of this also comes down to how much you value or threaten with Ivern, because if one team takes Lee Sin, the other can get Ivern, but there is no direct match to Ashe, I think, in a lot of teams' minds. It's the most picked marksman for both of these teams early on, or both of these teams throughout the spring, and again, the first pick.
Yeah, still a little bit surprising, for me at least, because I think the Lee Sin here just goes so high up in value when Graves is banned.
Curse is also so good at it as far as making plays happen
it's fantastic.
Any stage of the game.
It's fantastic to watch this guy play Lee Sin, because with the mobility, with the playmaking potential, he's able to carry his team so often on this champion. But again, Ashe is a safe, strong AD carry. Problem is, you're not really denying other AD carries on the other side, and there's still so many left that are actually very good.
Yeah, and oftentimes the biggest weakness for Team WE is their early game. Elise's early game and jungle presence can match. We say Lee Sin was the most played for Condi with 11 games. The Elise is 10. He's the type of player to go boots of mobility right away and just try and run around the map making plays.
You have to also talk about Malzahar being locked in so early, receive some more nerfs.
That's very surprising.
It is very surprising, and it's kind of the fun thing when you have all these changes and all these different teams. 3 bans, obviously 2 supports, but Nami was still there, and I don't think you then have to early pick support if you're actually going down to the second tiers anyway.
I agree. But oftentimes teams like to pick jungle and support with the first 2 picks on the red side. We saw it all the time in the North American playoffs, because then you can pick the core of your team composition afterwards.
There's a pocket pick for our top laner, 957 in Kled. He blind picked it. He's a little bit of a madman, because there are quite some of these carry matchups that can punish a Kled up top lane. And MMD, while he is obviously the guy who normally will not get a whole lot of help from his team, he's now able to actually counterpick this Kled.
Yeah, so he has played a little bit of Kled recently. What's interesting is oftentimes when Kled is played in the LPL, it's played with shielders, like the Lulu or the Karma, so when he gets dismounted, he gets sped up, gets his Vicious Strikes in, remounts right away, and gets going. Those chaps are banned, and he's picking it blind, so I think Madman is the right term for it.
What I love about this, 2 games now into MSI 2017 groups, and both times we've been surprised by the pick ban priority of teams. I can't wait to see the rest of the day play out. Another support taken off the table, the Nami. Team WE have to round out their phase 2 bans. I assume it's going to be another top laner. Deny something to maybe make Kled just a little more comfortable in that regard.
Yeah, I think so. They're trying to ban away the worst matchups. They're almost daring them to pick a top laner early, because then, if that happened flat, then the marksman position would have been able to get pinched out. So still, even though they banned the 2 tanks away, there's a lot of stuff to play.
They are leaving Fizz open as a pick. We see a lot of top laners play, but that's actually because Kled is really good against Fizz. So they might try and bait Flash Wolves to take it if they don't actually know the matchup. But Rumble has been a go-to pick for MMD. You just try and survive the laning phase, and then you join your team in these mid-game fights. And these ultis are often fairly spot on.
And it also opens up Maple to play an assassin. if he wants to. Zed is still on the table. They have it as a counter pick option, and it's going to be difficult, I think, for Xie to pick the right champion that can't be Zedded into. So I'm thinking it's going to be something relatively safe like an Orianna, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, Flash has been able to see basically all 3 carries on the side of Team WE and then decide what they wanted to pick after. AD carry, obviously top lane. Oh, AD carry is the safe one with Ashe, but then top lane with Kled. Now mid lane pick coming in for Xie as well. That's a Bard support!
Oh, I love it. Well, look, there's 5, 6 support champions banned out, right? So there's a whole bunch of options removed from the table. You have to go down the priority list and the tier list.
So Bard has received substantial buffs since the last time we've seen him in competitive. So he definitely does a lot more damage when he just slaps you in the face. And other than that, he's a playmaker. So WE looking to play the map with Bard, Talia, and Kled.
Ah, Mabel, give me an assassin. Give me an assassin against this Talia here. You can go Talon. You can go Zed. I don't care. I just want to see an assassin right here. That's a matchup where you can get kills. You have Lee Sin next to you as well. Please give me an assassin here, Mabel, to punish this Talia. Other things can do it as well. There's actually a lot of things you can do against. Come on, give it to me. Lock that in.
We thought he was going to try to do it. The Rumble makes perfect sense with it. Talia is actually a spectacular matchup to Zed. So, I mean, the blind pick. Oh, he's not doing Zed.
That's fine. Okay, come on.
Maple.
All right, so why are we so disappointed with the swap way? Obviously, the Zed into the Talia, but the Ryze is a suitable replacement.
Yes, Ryze is fine, and Mabel is kind of famous for his Ryze and the way he uses his ulti as well, so effectively around
Definitely
the map.
good.
Can't really blame him, but really want to see Mabel Zed right there.
Listen, quick shot. When you got a draft where you see a blind pick Kled, Bard, and then Talia, you're expecting Maple to go for the flash right there. But the Ryze is good. The Rune Prison into the Lee Sin is still highly capable of killing Xie's Talia in the mid lane. So still a good draft from Flash.
And I distinctly remember from the play-in best of 5, Maple and Sword Art comboing to use that Ryze ultimate to TP from Dragon Pit to the bottom tier 1 and to dumpster an AD carry. And Ashe Bard, if they get jumped on and surprised, they're going to get dumpstered.
Now, Team WE here actually have quite some early game with their lineup, and often we see them, try and play for late game, fall behind early, especially if Condi doesn't have that good of an early game. But with this composition, they have to be able to match Flash rules early on.
Yeah, and their late game team fighting is quite poor. So Team WE's got to hit level 6 and just go nuts. They have to fly all around the map and try and make plays, which is super interesting because that's kind of the opposite of how they won the finals against RNG. When RNG was playing stuff like Kled Echo and 957 was absorbing on Shen, they've decided to just adopt this style for this game, and they're going to go all out.
Oh, so excited. Coming into MSI 2017 after winning LPL finals, a stylistic difference, a surprise. And now we see how well they can execute it. We know how well Team WD have played in the LPL, a team that has had this 2-year rebuild, I believe the analyst desk was saying earlier, bringing in, a Korean bottom lane to bolster the ranks and really rise from grassroots up. And now they've got themselves a very exciting team composition against one of the pre-tournament favorites in Flash Wars.
Yeah, and if you're talking about pre-tournament expectations, even though it's been a while since we've seen WE on the international stage, they played as a lower-seeded LPL team at IM Katowice, was able to make the finals. Before that, you got to think back to the 2012 World Championship or IPL 5 when they're actually winning. That's where they developed most of their fandom, and it's carried through kind of to here. But the expectations for WE is second, definitely top 4. So there's a lot of hope of fans riding on this WE performance.
100% top 4. I was talking to First Korean before the series as well, but how many fans are still supporting this team, and she said, they're probably the second biggest fan base still in China, of course, because they were so huge before. And I now want to see what WE can do as an early game team with this draft here. Condi, the superstar jungler we need to follow on Elise, needs to be so impactful with the first few ganks, because you can actually have some lanes here that can really start struggling if they fall behind. It's not fun to play Kled when you're behind. It's definitely not fun to play Bard if you're behind, because whenever you do use your ulti, no one is actually going to follow up and kill anyone.
I've talked so much about WE and what they can do in the early game. Is the scaling that much more in favor of Flash Wolves that they have to play early, or will we get into this potential mid-game where WE are famous for turning games around and playing well in the mid to late?
I think the scaling is heavily in favor of Flash Wolves with their composition. I think that team fighting in the mid to late game will be very strong as well. No tank on the side of WE against Rumble and things like Malza ulti. It's tricky.
Yeah, what I want to pay the most attention to right now, though, is Condi's early game pathing. Talia can give such a better early game pull than the Rise. The Condi is way ahead of Karsa right now. Karsa just starting on his Raptors. Condi already cleared Raptors and Red. But he's not going for a counter jungle path. I wanted him to run up to the enemy blue.
Well, I want to see actually if he goes for a Rift Scuttler here to get level 3 with experience runes. But he's going to take blue. He obviously needs it on Elise.
Yeah, but the top lane dive of Elise and Kled is insane. Both Repel, as well as just Kled being Kled, can drop turret aggro at any time. So if 957 gets any type of push in the top lane, Condi can roam up there, especially with Karsa on the other side of the map, which is potentially being confirmed with that Hawk shot right there, knowing that red buff's been cleared out. And I think W is going to go for an early game.
Let's see, he's farming for now, getting his Wolf Camp as well.
Oh, a lot of damage at the Sheer.
I mean, let me just stress this again. Like, laning as Talia involves very much, I want to push this lane and I want to run away when you want to try and fight me. Like, it's really not easy to lane as her unless you can just push, push, push. And that's why things like Rise, some of these assassins, they can actually get onto her very easily and just start taking these trades.
Talking about trades, Mystic and Ben have been shoving Betty and Sword Art back. They're currently +8 with about a wave and a half in front of Betty and Sword Art on that Varus Malzahar. Ben's early game Bard really making life difficult as Scuttle is going to get started by Karsa, finished by Condi.
Yeah, due to the early push from Talia in the mid lane, Condi could go and take that Rift Scuttler. Karsa should just give it up. Invade in as well for ward. Junglers will go back to base.
WE actually getting multiple deep wards inside the jungle of Flash Wolves. I'm still a little disappointed that Condi didn't try and make something more happen with the quality of the pull that Talia can give on Raptors in comparison to the other side, but he still has a Scuttle Crab up on Condi. Aside from that, same number of camp takers.
Oh, I love this bear trap on a rope. 957 going very, very forward onto MMD as MMD starts to overheat. Goes down the Electro Harpoon. Once again, Bear Trap is thrown out, and 957 going to deal with the minion wave in front of him.
Very good start of WE. With the look at the lane, spot lane as well winning. Bard, obviously, with that auto attack where it deals a bit of extra damage. Against the Malzahar Voidlings, on this patch, they only have 2 HP, used to have 3. It is actually extremely easy for Bard to just kill them and stop Malzahar from really having any proper poke. Malzahar right now only works well if you have the stronger AD carry who can just push, 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 and then you just spam Q silence under the turret against the enemy, and you kind of try and get them down until you hit level 6, and then you can try and kill them. Yeah. When he gets pushed in, hello!
Karsa jumps into Condi. He's able to get out thanks to the Trinket Ward. That is not what you want to be doing, especially when you are one of the most exciting junglers in MSI 2017. Condi, another early advantage, still behind in a little bit of CS though.
Yeah, well, he didn't go for his own Krug, so he actually hasn't kept up in camp clearing. And even though Karsa got chunked low, killing the Krug camp as well as the Raptor camp is going to put him nearly a full level ahead of Condi.
And if we just zoom out a little bit and talk about, you know, this early game from Flash Wolves, it's so famous, a lot of people mention it. It is very strong, and it is something they've been using well to win games, especially in the LMS. But it's not just about early game. Like, these guys, especially in the mid game,
yes, the mid game
is where we actually really see them shine, because that's where they can start roaming with Maple and Karsa. It's where the vision control with control wards really kicks in. That's what we're kind of waiting for. It is pretty standard that Flash Wolves just farm for 10-15 minutes.
Yeah, and I am really curious to see where WE goes from here, though, because they have the type of composition that can look really good if they start taking over a game, because their ability to initiate from anywhere and lock down anyone they catch for just a huge CC chain is pretty immense. And it's interesting because they're kind of known as that 35 minutes to turn on team that makes comebacks, but that is not what their composition has set them up to do. So they have to execute here in the next 14 minutes before 20.
Yeah, I remember talking to the LPL guys, the casters last year about WE here, and they were like, yeah, they're win condition, fall behind, try and steal Baron, and then see if you can come back into the game. It is not as bad right now, of course, from WE, but that actually used to be a thing.
Not as bad. They're up 13 CS in the top lane.
I mean, overall, for them as a team.
In the bottom lane, it's only Condi.
Dive him, dive him, dive him.
Behind.
Yes. It's dangerous to dive a level 6 Rumble, but they have him at half health. They have a chance. Here comes Kled.
Sure!
Oh, see you later.
7 and Condi. First blood for Team WE.
That's a good start. Kled will take over this lane as a split pusher, and then he will be able to roam with ulti towards the other lanes here. Nice gank from Condi at level 5 here. That's a kill on MMD. Condi also getting some deep vision.
Such a good start for WE. very big advantages respective across all the lanes. And of course, if they can use that charge combo plus the Weaver's Wall from Talia, from Shia, they can start to, once again, knock over these towers and extend this deeper.
Condi didn't notice the ward, I don't think, from Karsa, or he's just bold enough to start this right here because they have push in both lanes. But this is a difficult steal.
Look at the minimap. Support coming up from both teams. MMD with equalizer.
They're first.
Karsa's going to jump over the wall. And that's going to be red buff secured. Where was Maple? Decided not to engage.
Now, Maple would have lost a lot of minions if he actually left that mid lane early. So he had to just take the minions, surrender that red buff. Not the end of the world to lose a red buff at this point here. There's a nice gank from Condi. No wards from MMD. And at this point, as soon as the cocoon hits, well, then that's a kill.
Yeah. The wave was in such a bad spot for MMD, and he kind of greeted for that last harpoon when he had no vision of the opponent jungler, and his jungler wasn't near. So potentially could have given up a lot of CS and maybe saved his life, but by the time he moved up for that minion, he was just gone for.
And WE here running the AHQ strategy from the LMS finals, where the AHQ would run Kled top lane, they would gank MMD early on, try and really get Ziv going, the top lane from AHQ. They're trying to do the same here with 957. And so far, they have been winning these two side lanes pretty easily, honestly, and that's a very good sign for WE.
Yeah, they've already got themselves that 1,000 gold lead, and Condi, despite, some interesting decisions maybe on that Elise, he's got himself first blood already. Now she is going to get jumped on as Team WE are invading. Ashara goes a little bit wide, but yeah, Team WE leading from the front. Condi has been one of the primary carries, one of the primary reasons, the undisputed best jungler from the LPL, and you can see why with that great gank and some pressure.
Yeah, now it's a question of how do they continue this lead. They just burned Ash Arrow for nothing. They had such a large advantage down in that bottom side. You do have to credit Ben and Mystic, the Korean bottom lane, down for this Team WE. When Flash Rules first picks the Malzahar, thinking it's the best support available, will still have the threat from the Nether Grasp in the mid game, but to lose lane that badly after early prioritization on that, and then to have the Bard come in with a later pick and still get that edge, is huge for WE, and credit has to be given.
Yeah, it's been some very interesting decisions from Flash Rules in that pick and ban phase. Like, Malzahar is not a very contested support at the moment, taking the Rumble and saying, you know what, I know I'm going to lose lane against this Kled, but I'm just going to pick it for fights. And then, of course, again, not locking in things like Zed to try and get a bit more pressure mid lane for actual kills. So they have accepted that WE can push multiple lanes in the early game, and Flash Rules right now are getting punished.
All right, so how does Flash Rules bounce back? 10 minutes in, no towers have fallen yet, but 957, Mystic and Ben, you feel like they may be able to unlock some damage, not too distant future. Saying that, she has also been shoving Maple in again and again. Once again, we're going to see Condi make his way out. Maybe we're going to see that tower dive eventually, Jack, that we've talked so much about.
Yeah, if they don't, they're going to get the turret, and Karsa's going to have to respawn somewhere else. Until Condi shows on the map, Karsa's not going to feel safe about going in, but here we go!
So easy! Cocoon into charge. 957 gets a kill.
And MMD is not giving the appropriate level of respect to Kled Elise. No wards, walks up to the minion wave. Did he think 957 was just missing?
While Karsa gets caught by the Cosmic Binding, Ash Arrow is eaten as well. He's going to get jumped on, threaded volley, starts to get fired. Shia gets the third kill of the game for Team WE. Maple decides to realm walk in, cannot get out. Teleport not even going to be needed because the tower first blood was also picked up by Team WE.
It's another good gank top lane here from WE, and Flash Rules are just making it too easy right now. Two ganks, no flash used by the Rumble. Then they invade on the bottom side without having proper push in their lanes. They're getting so punished in this very first game. And now Flash Rules are getting towards a mid game where they're behind. Not something they're used to.
And also, this is pretty difficult to scout. 957 did not get a lot of jungle help throughout the year, but we're going to watch what Karsa tried to do to counter, because remember, it technically has more flashes on this side of the map, but the bottom lane is so slow on the roam up when Karsa get caught in the jungle.
That was read so easily by WE, and they managed to pick up the kill. Sword Art level 6, ulti ready. Ulti ready on the Varus. This is where you can start making plays if you are the Flash Rules bottom lane. Karsa is on his way down. There's no camps for him on the bottom side, so we should assume he's looking for a potential gank or maybe some vision.
Just before that, you can see some of the stats on your screen representing Flash Rules' dominance over in the LMS. They only dropped 2 games in the entirety of the spring split. Once right at the beginning, once right at the end, really. And unfortunately, they're 3,500 gold down to Team WE already at 12 minutes is mind-boggling how well WE have opened up, but they changed their style, changed the picks and bans, and it seems to have caught Flash Wolves a little off guard.
Yeah, and this is also what WE has to do to make this composition work. Snowball through that Kled, so when Kled gets ahead, he can charge in and start any fight. They need to make sure Karsa can't get back online.
Well, Karsa's gonna get turned online, killing Shi in the mid lane, comboing up with Maple. Round Warp gonna deliver Karsa and Maple to safety.
Love the small side steps as well. Make sure you don't get CC'd and then get out of there. Good setup. But a dynamic duo of Karsa and Maple.
Xie was down Flash and Cleanse from the skirmish in the jungle, so Flash Wolves know immediately where to go to get that kill conversion, and that helps them back only 3,000 gold. Still a pretty big deficit.
Oh, it's still pretty bad for Flash Wolves right now, and it's not over yet because mid lane, Condi and 957 are showing. But again, this Kled will just keep pushing the top lane over and over, and his ulti is one of the best when it comes to moving from that top lane towards the mid lane and join a potential fight. It is hard now for Rumble to really have impact, because he will most of the time have to TP second. He needs the Kled to leave first before he can actually TP away and join the fight. This is just a gank in mid.
Yeah, Rune Prison. Karsa just ward jumps in, kicks him straight up against the wall, and guarantees the Sonic Wave Resonating Strike in a crisp ult out by Maple and Karsa.
Maple and Karsa are going to need to do more of those superhero plays to claw back this deficit. Team WE have already got one tower down. I'm looking at the minimap. No shenanigans just yet. 957 still shoving the wave into that inner turret up top. And vision-wise, a little bit lacking. Not the same deep vision that we saw in the opening 10 minutes for WE.
Not yet, and that is typically a thing where WE can slack a little bit on control wards when you watch them play. They have some of these games where they set it up perfectly, but in other games they seem to forget it. This one here, they have some wards down. See if they can actually make a play. Yeah,
and Flash Wolves is also a team that excels with vision control.
Ooh,
notice
Mystic.
The multiple control wards they already have in their inventory on top of what's placed down.
Oh, so clever. Mystic actually stuns up Betty. Manages to get tagged up by the Chain of Corruption, though. Here comes Ben. Mystic's going to go down. Flash forward from Ben. Flash Wolves get their second and third kills of the game, and they are bouncing back.
We talked about the Flash Wolf mid-game, not just early game, and they're making some big plays.
Look at that, delivering Karsa for another kill.
Before that play happened, WE was still creeping up towards the top lane, so they very much didn't want to play around the Dragon. Flash Wolves definitely did, and they converted in a huge way on that play. Want to see it again how Xie fell, because Mystic looked like he got a little greedy trying to get that last kill, but that's because all the Flash Wolves was flying down by.
We'll get the bot lane tower as well. Obviously lost the tier 2 top lane due to the Kled advantage, and then Condi showing up again. There's now a tower for Flash Wolves. Goal lead is still in favor of WE, and this game is wide open.
Dragon's going to get started off here by Karsa. Looking at the minimap, there's no pressure from anywhere else, and the kills, 3 of them secured by Karsa's Lee Sin. Sword closed out one in that bottom lane, and Flash Wolves, they do not care about the goal deficit. Some great plays like this.
Yeah, Mystic does delay Betty long enough with his ultimate, but then right here, yes, Karsa's behind him, but he stays in. Xie jumps off of the wall, and Karsa then kicks him out.
Oh, that
What's that?
That looked fantastic. He did not want to go up there.
You do not have to jump off the wall that early. I thought he would have gotten kicked off maybe during the travel time, but he actually jumped off towards Karsa before getting kicked. Well, just a series of small little misplays, I'd say, by WE mechanically in that fight, but Flash Wolves completely back in it.
Gave some kills over to Flash Wolves, but still, we're looking at this Kled top lane. He's pushing towards that inhib tower now. So fun to finally see 957 actually get to play this champion.
Already got himself a 50 CS advantage. You're looking at the minimap. Team WE trying to rotate their lane assignments. They've got their ADC now, moving to the mid lane to apply pressure onto Maple.
Yeah, and that's the question when you have such a huge advantage in one lane, is how do you collapse it down to the rest of the map? I think WE actually overstayed a little bit in the top lane to get that second turret. Because with an Infernal Drake up and a Kled that strong, they should have moved down a little bit earlier. Flash Wolves beat them to the punch, and now, without the Infernal Drake, maybe they're hesitating a bit because Kled's still sitting up in that top lane.
But he has TP available. That's a kill.
He gets Ben through the magical journey. Okay, the wall is locking off Flash Wolves, but they don't care. WE is not locking Flash Wolves in. They're being locked in. It ends up being a 1-0 in favor of Flash Wolves. 957 after the teleport to the charge. He shuts down Sword Arts.
Yeah, that was actually a very risky engage from Flash Wolves because Kled had TP advantage top lane, and we saw 957 join instantly. It ended up being just a 1-for-1 due to the very quick kill Flash Wolves managed to pick up. and now they will actually have that TP advantage. So teams are kind of trading global with each other here, and it's on Flash Wolves now to make a play, mid or bot lane.
Yeah, MMD's teleport back up, rank 2 on Rumble, even though he's had that rough early game, nearly has the Leandries, and he will be completely online. Karsa is doing his best to put his team on his back right here. Follows him through the magical journey, gets the Dragon's Rage essentially for the execute, and then the rest of that, Flash Wolves just keep going. The Kled TP is behind the Talia wall, and Flash Wolves just need to make it so he doesn't jump towards them from the charge. They're able to get far enough away. Yes, the Flash falls, but that's just a 1-for-1, and the Rumble gets to survive up top to close that CS discrepancy.
It's pretty big though for WE if they can actually pick up this Rift Herald. Not that Kled needs,
more.
Yeah, he doesn't need the buff to win, but sometimes more is better, and that's exactly what they're going for right now, because you gotta remember, he needs to keep split pushing, and once you use this buff here to take towers as well, like the threat is just so hard to deal with. And that's really the setup for WE. They don't actually need to win this game through team fighting, which is their usual style. They should actually win this game by playing split push.
They've got themselves an advantage, so if they get into any team fights in the next 10 or so minutes, they're going to be very, very happy. Lockett picked up second here for Condi. QSS for Mystic after Blade of the Ruined King. A lot of single target CC on the side of Flash Wolves.
Yeah, a lot of times you can argue that support Malzahar is worth the pick, literally just because it forces people into early QSSs. That definitely diminishes Mystic's kill threat. And also the Locket from Condi. A lot of times an Elise in these types of games is going to want to go full damage, full AP. The Locket probably just a little bit of extra help in case someone else gets hit by that Nether Grasp. Condi wants to be able to assist. It does diminish WE's ability to one-shot someone before a team fight starts.
I like the respect Team WE showed entering their own jungle there. Flash Wolves had set up, had vision superiority. You can see on your minimap a couple of deep wards from Flash Wolves. WE contested, and now they are the ones trying to put something in the Flash Wolves jungle.
Yeah, they're looking for a fight because they moved down the Kled without teleport just to try and fight.
Karsa thought he was going to sidestep, but it simply wasn't enough. Flash was available as well.
Yeah, big mistake from Karsa there, not flashing, because once you get hit by one, you're getting hit by the rest with this WE composition.
And that was the best WE could have hoped for, because again, they moved Kled away from a side lane to try and find an engage, and then to get it on, actually the member with the most mobility on the side of Flash Wolves.
Super surprising that hit.
Really odd, actually, they managed to get that kill, but they get it nonetheless, and Xie is top lane to defend, but he might get ganked.
Yeah, Xie is going to be under dive. Yes, Sword Art, Maple, MMD. That's going to get locked down with the Nether Grass. A very easy kill for Flash Wolf. That's the 6th of the game. They're going to be putting pressure onto that top tower, but will it get finished here by Team WE? Chain of Corruption tags onto Ben, is slowly starting to spread. Ben takes a lot of damage as the cocoon flies a little wide. Bendy eats himself an exploding spider. The mid tower is standing, but the bottom was taken out.
957 picked that one up. We talked about it with the Rift Herald, the threat towards these structures here. It is huge. Played as well. Really good at just staying in that lane. Oh, Ben!
Yeah, Karsa connects onto Ben. Karsa gets his 5th kill of the game. Now wants to set up onto Condi, despite connecting with the Sonic Wave. I hear a charge. Where is the charge coming?
Far away.
And for the Raptor camp.
Karsa decided not to stick around, therefore the charge did not find a target.
Ben not finding the right location, so squishy with the Boots of Mobility Bard right now, and that's the 2nd time Karsa's been able to just execute him. That's kind of keeping Flash Wolves in the game right now. Looking at the current structure of the map, though, WE did have Kled down on the bottom side, so they now have wards for the next Infernal Drake. And even though they're not necessarily a team-fighting team, they probably have enough of an advantage. And Kled, at the moment, is almost a tank in the sense that he has so much health in this stage of the game that WE can very much win a fight at Drake.
Jet, you talked about the Kled. Of WE's 2,400 gold lead, 1,800 of that is in 957's back pocket. Look at that difference. 8,900 to 7,000 at the moment. And he's obviously the tool that WE are trying to leverage to win this game.
And one thing WE has done really well during this split here is group as 5 and then surprise the enemy a little bit with some very, very aggressive engagement. That's something we see in almost every game they play. And they're doing the same thing here. Said before, they should actually win this through split push, but they're using the TP Kled with the guys, with the team, looking for a fight.
Yeah, Kled ult is down, just the Ash Arrow is what they have, and that's missed. They now have to wait for Bard ultimate or Kled ult if they want to go again.
All right, Tempered Fate is a few seconds away. Karsa with a beautiful flash kick. Condi's going to get burned down by the Flame Spitter. It's Maple that picks up a kill into Ben at the back end. Condi bought a few seconds to repel, and Flash Wolves win the fights.
WE got obliterated right there. WE missed their engage. Karsa did not miss his, and everyone just collapsed there as Condi was slowly focused down. No one followed through from WE to try and make a fight.
It is just that decision with grouping and not using your massive Kled to win that side lane. Now they're going for another one.
Realm Warp's going to split up Flash Wolves. They're trying to run, but Flash Wolves have got 3. Castle once again with the Sonic Wave. Takes a big burst of damage from 957 before he's forced away. MMD is crushed where he stands. Now Maple running for his life. 957 with a bear trap on a rope. He's going to have backup from Shie. And they've ended up getting a kill. Flash Wolves did not need to split up. The seismic shove catches Sword on, and 957 is unstoppable.
This guy is out of control right now. Blind picks the Kled. We called him a madman. He's actually doing it right now on Kled. 5-0-2.
Karsa as well.
Karsa going right back at him.
Karsa and 957, they're smurfing right now against each other, and they're just picking up kills left and right. They got almost all the gold in this game of these two champions.
It was a 3v5, and 957 just ran everyone down.
The Flash Wolves, they step away from Baron. I like that. They try and go for the pick, but now they're completely split up. MMD just flashed into the wall face first, so he's no flash now, just dies instantly. That was a really bad play from him.
Betty took 2 turret shots running through, then used his heal and ran the other way. So that cut it off into a pretty even-numbered fight, and that's where 957 used that 1,800 gold advantage he had over Rumble and the rest of Flash Wolves to extend it further.
And now he's down in that bottom lane. This is what we like to see. Spread out the map, just keep pushing against this Rumble. You can kill him 1v1. You can take the tower if he's even sitting there trying to defend. You are the man right now who can win this game for WE.
MMD is not having a good start to the group stages here in Rio. Those 2 early deaths in lane. And
he's used to it from the LMS though. He's very often the target for early ganks.
Unfortunately fell prey to them again on a much bigger stage. Team WE now trying to clear out vision around the Baron pit. Condi is going to get saved by the Tempered Fate. Team WE coming in.
Where's Kled?
Gets an Ash Arrow as well. MMD was stunned up by the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, and Betty is left alone.
I found Kled.
957 gets another.
Blast hits him with the charge, but still a 1 for 0. The Bard and the Locket actually coming in pretty clutch to keep Condi alive, as Flash Wolves was using their mastery of vision control. Look at all the control wars to try and get a pick. But they lose Betty. Now WE back on the offensive. Karsa might want to go in.
All right, let's see. There's no flash available to him. His Dragon Rage kick was used already. WE take their 5th tower of the game for a 5,000 gold lead. A little over 3,000 of that is just with 957. He's got a GA to protect that advantage, protect that lead.
Yeah. I really feel like we had to wait 5 minutes and then non-stop action just started. You know, ganks in the top lane and Karsa went off left and right around the map as well. 957 in every fight has just been finding kills. This is the engage from Betty.
Betty thought he had the flank on Mystic, but he was kind of losing the duel before 957 even got there. It would have been pretty close, but Betty had no heal coming into that. He's gone a very defensive build. Ninja Tabi and a QSS already, same as Mystic, but Mystic, I believe, had 1 completed item up on him, so wins the duel.
QSS here is actually very interesting from him. Typically, you see mainly against, you know, Malzahar a lot. I don't think Ashe specifically, when it is pure group, that you actually need the QSS against per arrow, but he is playing it very safe, and that's why he has it in this game here. Because it is going to be just 5-on-5s against each other. We've seen WE, they value moving Kled early. Once again, he pushes out his lane, then he goes to join the team, and they try and engage with Mystic. And that's probably what Betty's reading and saying, I'm just going to get this QSS for safety, even though I actually could have gone for more damage.
Well, this game is very, very interesting because coming into it, Team WE and Flash Wolves were somewhat opposite in styles, you know, in terms of their approach. And we'll expand on that in a moment as now 957 gets jumped on in a 3v1. He's got GA. I don't think he's going to be able to survive this one. There's no support from the rest of the team.
But what about Baron right now? Because WE, they're running straight forward here. Karsa is near the Baron, trying to make it, maybe make a steal.
What?
Oh, he gets started!
957 manages to survive a few seconds longer. He's running for his life. Olympic Vision is coming down. The grab. 957. Run, man, run. He gets away.
Oh, that's beautiful.
They kill Lee Sin on the other side, and they get the Baron. Are you kidding me?
I have never seen a more amazing survive. Betty's gonna get jumped on. Shie gets a kill, but 957, you are a madman and a monster.
And Flash Wolves just fall apart during that sequence. You don't want to overspend your cooldowns in the 3v1, but he remounts as he's making his escape. Unbelievable by 957.
That was one of my favorite plays ever. Like that whole thing with the Baron for WE, and of course the escape in the bottom, and he almost killed MMD as well before escaping. This is just obviously the 4v1 basically, now the Betty 4v2, and Kasa thought he could go for the steal, ends up dying.
And I'm sorry, but what was that ultimate by Betty on the side? He threw his Chain of Corruption and made it to a ward near the Baron pit. That's about it. Then gets caught up by Ben with the Bard ultimate.
And used both of his summoner spells as well. Betty and MMD not having a great game. And Skarl MVP. That's what it boils down to. Come out of the GA, get Skarl back. And
this is unbelievable because 957 is not the hyped player from Team WE. It's Mystic, it's Condi, it's even Shie before it's going to be 957. But after this game, people are going to take notice of his Kled. He is out of control.
I mean, RNG banned away this Kled in the second phase during the final, but like, you know what? We know what he can do on this champion. Flash Wolves didn't get the memo. It's also picked very early. Like, the whole thing was a massive surprise in this pick and ban phase with some of the blind picks from WE being very risky, but then Flash Wolves actually not really counter-picking them. And now they've been on the back foot almost all game long.
All right, Maple's already used the cleanse. The Weaver's Wall didn't really help a lot to zone out this tower. Team WE just shy of 9,000 gold in the lead. They're knocking over this inhibitor turret with the help of the cannon minion, playing it very, very safe. I mean, Flash Wolves, they've had the kill advantage all game long, but it doesn't matter because 957 can do whatever he pleases.
Yeah, they're actually just going to go for a 5v5 right up the mid lane.
They are indeed. Jousting goes forward. A great cosmic binding from Ben. That locks down Maple, and he's killed. A kickback from Casa will not matter. There's no damage to follow it up. Finally, Ben goes down. Sword Art's a target of a threaded volley. It's a double kill for Shia. The Nexus turrets could be the focus. The minions are conga lining their way in. It's a 5v2.
Looks like they want to win right now. 3 kills, 4 people alive. 957 TP's back in.
Cocoon connects onto Betty. He's got the QSS to survive a few seconds longer. Team WE, they've taken down the first Nexus turret, waiting for the Baron and Bard minions to come up. A repel into the air, buys some time, and a bear trap on the rope holds Betty in place. Skarl runs for his life and returns. Mystic, WE 957. They open up MSI 2017 with a bear trap on a rope and one hell of a bang.
The LPL fans, they asked for top 2 for WE. That's what they want to see from these guys. The LPL casters next to us, they're going crazy as well because that first game was so fun to watch with 957 being the MVP.
And if you're looking for top 2, beating Flash Wolves is a fantastic start. Looking at the way 957 played this game and the way WE won in 30 minutes and played the early game is extremely promising because the strengths of this team are in the mid to late game, and pulling off this strategy this early sends a message to the rest of the teams in the tournament.
And not only just the rest of the teams, the caliber of opponent. Flash Wolves looked completely out of it. MMD fell apart, Betty out of position, Maple and Casa, they never got a chance because the game fell apart.